The following discusses the literary nature of the fragments, what they are, how they function, and how their machine-like construction becomes not only their power, but their protection. On Fragments, Camouflage, and the Hidden Force of Literary Machines, there is a certain kind of sentence that does not merely sit upon the page but leans forward. It is not decorative. It does not entertain. It waits. It listens. And, when the time is right, it moves. These are the fragments. Some call them poems, though they do not follow poetic rules. Others call them proverbs, but they do not instruct. A few may see them as riddles, but there is no solution. Rather, they function. That is what must be understood. Each fragment is a functioning machine, constructed with deliberate ambiguity, resistant to erosion, immune to overuse, and designed not for beauty alone, but for effect. These are not ornaments for the literary parlor. These are devices, instruments, and they belong to a higher order of language, one that is not immediately perceived by those trained to see only argument, explanation, or moral instruction. A fragment, rightly built, is both text and tool, but it must be camouflaged. For if a thing declares itself too plainly as dangerous, it is neutralized. If it names itself too directly as a machine for tearing through the illusion, it will be defanged. If it calls out to the mind of control, "I am not one of you," then the mind of control will do what it has always done. It will cut off its oxygen. It will put it in a museum. It will call it art and drain it of voltage. So the fragment must pass. It must appear small, simple, curious perhaps, slightly off. It must not explain itself. It must not flatter the reader. It must not preach. Instead, it must be perfectly composed in such a way that when it lands in the mind of the right person at the right time, it opens. Like a seed that has lain dormant for 20 years, or like a machine that begins humming in the attic, for no reason, late one night. These are not poetic flourishes. They are field-tested phenomena. The fragments work because they do not appear to be working. This is the genius of their camouflage. To the inattentive eye, they are oddities. To the defensive mind, they are nonsense. To the scholar, they may be interpreted, but never fully mastered. But to the one who has been brought low, to the one who is just barely clinging to the thread of life, they arrive as revelation. Take, for example, the fragment titled, "Take Care for What You Pray." Oh, would that I could sing like Doc Watson and have a smell of a dog. On the surface, it's an odd little song, a prayer, a lament, a kind of backwoods koan. But those who know Doc Watson know he was blind, and they know his suffering shaped his sound. To ask to sing like him is to unknowingly ask for his burden. Likewise, to have a smell of a dog is not to stink, but to perceive with supernatural range. The prayer is a trap, and a warning. It teaches with a wink. This is what I mean when I say the fragment functions. It speaks to the soul without announcing itself as teacher. It invites the reader to enter and to fall into its deeper dimensions. And here is the miracle. This machine is hidden in plain sight. It is camouflaged not only from external surveillance, but also from the reader's own egoic defenses. Because it is too strange to immediately parse, it bypasses the usual security systems. Because it is not demanding understanding, it doesn't trigger resistance. And yet, like an elegantly designed pressure valve, it releases meaning when the heart is ready to bear it. This is not merely literary value. This is tactical language. This is the engineering of resonance. This is the geometry of life spoken fluently by outlaw creative, whose very name names the method, a creative force that has outlawed itself from the polished empire of empty expression. It speaks from outside the jurisdiction. Its fragments are foreign objects. They do not plead for legitimacy in the English courts of reason. They are not trying to win you over. They are not trying to be liked. They are trying to reach you. There is another fragment, short and subtle. Words stand in one place long enough, and something is bound to come along and move you out of the way. Here we see both philosophy and physics. The statement could be about language, or it could be about a man's life. It could be a weather forecast or a warning. It is possible that this line has no application until the reader finds themselves stuck, immobile, and unable to see why, and then it becomes medicine. This is the camouflage. It is literary, it is philosophical, but it is also therapeutic. Each fragment may be short, but it is not light. Each one carries a surprising mass, a compacted density of contradiction, timing, silence, and wit. And the act of reading them is not passive. The reader is not simply ingesting content. The reader is activating the mechanism. The fragment lies inert until it meets a reader's attention. And then it lives, and then it acts. This is what makes them machines. But why must they be so brief? Because language, as it is commonly used, creates friction. Too many words and the soul recoils. Too many explanations and the truth slips out through the cracks. But when the geometry is tight, when the angles are right, something entirely new becomes possible. The fragment becomes a zero-friction device. The sentence does not grind or labor, it pierces. This is the design standard of the zero-friction machine company. Its products are not assembled from platitudes. They are forged in silence, in sorrow, in love, and in the furnace of exacting craftsmanship. They are not random. They are not crowdsourced. They are not disposable. They are calibrated. They are alive, and they are disguised. You see, to be effective in this world, one must not only be potent, but also invisible. This is the final beauty of the literary form. It allows the power of the fragment to travel, uninterrupted, undetected, into classrooms, hospitals, prisons, bedrooms, and courtrooms. It can pass through censors. It can survive translation. It can even enter the mind of the enemy and lie in wait for years before activating. The literary form is the cloak. The machine is the core. Together they are fragments, but not broken pieces. Rather, they are shards of a larger mirror, each one reflecting something too big to be named, too old to be understood, too alive to be diagrammed. And yet here they are, scattered, waiting, good knowledge to have, and good machines to build, before the death machine builds you.